That is bad. What's up, guys? Single player Nacho here, and we're here with the 10 most annoying or most hated Resident Evil enemies of all time. Forever. I've come across this article here, and I want to see if I agree with it. Now, Resident Evil is a survival horror game, so the enemies are supposed to be a little bit difficult to kill. You're supposed to survive, if you will. I'm assuming this list is going to have some really dumb designed enemies like frogs and snakes, which are kind of given, you know, compared to the more cooler looking monsters like Lurkers or the Nemesis. That's probably not on here. I'd be surprised if any of those two are, though. And at the end of the day, I will give my list of my most hated Resident Evil enemies of all time. Starting off at number 1, or number 10, I should say, snakes. It's not a surprising pick, you know. Snakes are a common enemy in real life. Snakes are scary as shit. They're poisonous as fuck. Don't want to come across a snake ever. So, you know, having them in the Resident Evil game kind of defeats the purpose of it being fantasy. I get that. Now, the list does say that this isn't only about Yawn, which is sort of the boss, humongous snake from Resident Evil 1, which again also has an annoying mechanic behind him. If you get bit by Yawn, you have to like charge into this whole separate cutscene and find the goddamn antidote. And that sucks, you know? I don't like being poisoned. Yawn is freaking cool though. Menacing monster. I actually don't even remember the other snakes in the series, besides the little ones that fall onto your face and are kind of annoying. Kind of harmless though. But I guess if you have to choose 10 enemies, snakes, more or less, kind of annoying. Not hated, I don't think. Let me know in the comments though. Next up, we have Bleach Man at number 9. Again, this is a pretty cool design on paper, as well as like the lore behind the Leechman. You know, this troubled student, James Marcus, finds this leech virus, gets taken advantage of, and then he comes back as the Leech Man, causes havoc on these poor train goers. Pretty cool story setup. But the actual mechanic of fighting these things is fucking annoying. I will agree with that. So I think hated makes sense in this case for Leechman. Now, of course, it just takes a simple torch to the body and, you know, they do go away, but even just throwing the torch sometimes can be pretty inaccurate. And that goes against basically Resident Evil 0 as a whole more than, you know, just the mechanic itself. So Leechman, I do agree, should be on this list. Also, they just slap you a lot. It's kind of a dick move. Number 8 is Duvalia, which I don't even actually know what that is. I gotta look that up right now. It's a clip of the Duvalia. I do not remember these things. Okay, so it's like sort of a Plaga evolution. This is kind of gross enemy. Kind of takes over the entire torso, rather than just like the head of the enemy, which I'm used to in Resident Evil 4. Now why is it so hated? I don't even recall Duvalia. That's the thing, right? So they're kind of forgetful. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with this pick. Next one, Regenerators. Hated? Ha. I hate Regenerators because, you know, they're monsters and they're fucking creepy. They're absolutely creepy. I don't know if I, you know, as a fan hate them. You know, because of the purpose of the game, in the full scale, not just surface level, you know, hate. Regenerators make so much sense in terms of like the game that Resident Evil 4 is. You know, you have all these insane experiments happening behind closed doors on this island. You're gonna get this creepy, disgusting breath noises monster. I don't agree with this, actually. List is also pointing out that, you know, the whole using the scope, the thermal scope, is also a reason to hate it. I don't really think it's that bad, you know, to actually complain about. I don't agree with the Regenerator here. I don't. I love them. I love Regenerators. They're cute. Next up, we have the Bandersnatch, which is sort of a tyrant in Code Veronica. Makes sense, I think, because there's a bunch of them that just sort of pop out from what I remember from playing the few chapters that I did play of Code Veronica. Now, the same argument can't be said about Regenerators in terms of like having a bunch of them around, but Bandersnatch would group up on you. And they do have, like, again, sort of like with the Leechman, they have that stupid slap attack that can literally reach you from long distances. And again, this is Code Veronica we're talking about, so tank controls, cameras were not amazing. I kind of get it. not sold on the, maybe the Bandersnatch should be a little bit lower, maybe like at number 10, but not like halfway through the list, probably. I don't think it's that much hated. Design wise, it's a melted skeleton mummy monster. Meh. Oh shit, Jesus Christ. Number 5, we have the Lurker. What is this? Oh, I know what this is. This is the freaking frog that jumps out during the water plant thing that really scared the shit out of me. So Lurker, I don't hate it because that was an awesome jump scare. That was one of the most unexpected ones for sure. Who would have thought a man-sized frog would be so hated? I guess so. It makes sense that it is on this list. Again, it goes back to just those regular, you know, animals or insects or reptiles, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what frogs are. Being on this list because they're kind of boring. You know, you want the fantasy aspect. Lurkers, yeah, I can agree. Could be hated. The Drain Deimos at number 4. The throat goats. Disgusting. No, but the Deimos actually, that is a really interesting word. I gotta look up what that means. It's a god. The personal god of dread and terror. Wow. That's cool, actually. That makes it gives it points. The Drain Deimos' section in Resident Evil 3 Remake was one of the more annoying ones, especially when you're going for the higher difficulties, when you're trying to get those trophies. Makes sense. It's just nasty. I can agree with that. Just nasty. That's why I think you can hate it to its very, you know, core. The insect itself, the parasite itself, you can hate it. But the good thing is they do die. They all die in a fire. They all literally burn to extinction. They're gone. Fine, I'll agree with that one. Number 3. This is gonna get really interesting. Crimson Head at number 3. Wow. Now let's separate for a little bit here hate and awesomeness, because the Crimson Head is an awesome game mechanic to have introduced into Resident Evil Remake from the original. Lore-wise, Crimson Heads make sense because zombies don't just like die, if you will. They evolve. The T-virus like is contained in their bodies and they become even more disgusting monsters. Eventually they become lickers from my basic understanding. So the Crimson Head, in terms of practice, awesome. Also just scary as shit. It elevates the horror. It elevates it. But is it hated? It's fast, way faster. Definitely caused a bunch of deaths during people's playthroughs. Okay, I get it. I agree. Preliminarily, if that's a word, agree. Ooh, these next two are gonna be interesting. Mr. X, number 2. Mr. X at number 2. I don't think so. This is the problem with having like the big bosses in these kinds of lists, especially like the negative lists, because they are loved as much as they are hated, I guess, if that makes any sense. Mr. X is an icon. He's a meme machine. Have you seen the things that this man has created just on his appearance alone? He's loved universally. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. He's like a staple in the series. I don't think it's fair to say that he's hated. Oh, but you know what? I'm actually just remembering I got some PTSD over here from the hardcore playthrough that I had to do for the S+ run for Resident Evil 2 Remake. That library thing where you have to like topple over the fucking sections of the books to use the jack thing, and then, you know, he would just come behind you and like fuck you up really bad, and it was like a one hit, like down to red danger level. Of course, this is before I even knew that you can just like move all the fucking shelves together at once. I did one by one. Single player nacho for you. No, I don't hate him though. I don't hate Mr. X. I don't think he should be on this list. This is the problem. He's famous, so you have to look at the more obscure monsters, I think. You have to be like a huge fan of Resident Evil to make a concrete hated list. I don't think Mr. X should be on this list though. Who could number 1 be? Hunters. All right, I'll give you that. Hunters can be pretty unfair to fight, but I already know like 3 other monsters that could be on this list besides Hunters, because these are like the advanced hyper predator monsters in the series. And yeah, I get it. They can just chop your head off at one swipe. Very annoying. easy to hate that, you know, action, but they're awesome. They're like the Raptors of the Resident Evil series. You can probably put them a little bit lower in the list. I don't think number one, they're not the most, for me anyway. My list, they are not on this list, maybe. I gotta check. I gotta make my own list first. Do you guys hate the Hunters this much for them to be number one? Let me know in the comments. I don't think they're that bad though. I really don't. Ooh, I should do a tier list actually for my list. So S tier is obviously the most hated, A, B, C, whatever. They're passable, I think. So my top 10, right? I gotta go. The first one that sticks out for me, if it's here, from Resident Evil 0, just a little spoiler alert there. Where the fuck are these fucking assholes, dude? Oh, here we go. Here we are. That should be on this, the most hated list. Eliminators are kind of easy to spot as the most hated, just because of their mechanics, and it's also a dumb, you know, monkey thing. Spit at the Eliminators. Not really. And believe it or not, I think one of the most hated just because that he's not that cool. He's an asshole lore-wise, and kind of could be considered annoying. This might be a little bit controversial. I think it's Salazar. Salazar could be on those top 10 most hated monsters ever. Evelyn, I think, has been pretty universally hated. Not all the way. I personally like the story of the whole like monster wanting to have a family thingy-majingy, but from what I've seen as a Resident Evil content creator, a lot of comments hate Evelyn. A lot of them. I think this is a snake. This is one of those snakes, right? So just like this will sum up basically the snakes with Yawn. I agree with that pick from the list, the previous list, and I will agree with the, you know, the Lurker being on that list. I think it is pretty bad. Cool because of the jump scare, but just it's a frog. It's a giant frog. Big Man Magini makes sense, right? It's just a wrestler. He's just a wrestler, but I'll put him down here. Oh, how can I forget this thing? The quick molded. Hate the quick molded. Up there with the Eliminators. How could I forget about the Whopper? Dude, the Whopper. It's just a horrible idea, you know. It makes sense in the terms in the scope of Resident Evil 6, you know, over, you know, commercialism with Americanism, and I'm just making up words, I think. But I get it. I understand the reference. I've never had a Whopper, I don't think, for Burger King. But that's bad. I think that's bad. I think the Whopper just sucks. I could be boring and say the spider or the giant bat's actually pretty horrible. Fuck. This might be a little bit harsh because it's attached to Jack Baker, which is one of my favorite Resident Evil antagonists of all time. Awesome new original character, Jack Baker. Hilarious lines, creepy dude, and it's at the end of the day, great heart on him, great father heart. So, you know, attached to Jack Baker is the Swamp Man. And I didn't like the Swamp Man in the DLC for Resident Evil 7. You know, I think it was the End of Zoe thingy. I didn't like that whole thing, dude. So I'm gonna put Swamp Man as one of my most personally hated monsters because it kind of takes away from Jack Baker a little bit. You know, like this whole, oh, it turns out to be Jack Baker, this disgusting swamp mess of a character that you have to punch and you fist fight a lot. You know, I think Jack Baker's evolved form was way cooler than Swamp Man. So Swamp Man's kind of like a cop-out, in my opinion. I think, yep, that's from worst to, you know, not as bad. Worst hated monsters in Resident Evil for me. Adders, which are basically just snakes. Salazar, annoying asshole. Evelyn, don't personally hate it, but I have to kind of include her just from experience, from seeing the comments. The Big Man Magini, just a wrestler. Swamp Man, not the best idea. Could have been a more original character, I think. Interesting, would have been more interesting. Plague Crawler, meh. Lurker, meh. Whopper, stupid. Quick Molded, fuck Quick Molded from that Ethan Must Die sort of mini game. No, just no. And Eliminators, super annoying. So there you go. That's my list. Let me know your guys' list. Which is your most hated BOW of all time, or enemy, or monster? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stuff like this, we will be doing. And have an awesome rest of your day. As always, stay single.
Remember.